In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read the ancient tomes. The order of the Abracast. We are the brave and the bold.
Then the man and his wife heard the sound of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden, but the Lord God called to the man, "Yo, where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." And then he said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" And the man said, "The woman you put here with me, she gave me some fruit from this tree, and I ate it." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" And the woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." So the Lord God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly. You will eat the dust all the days of your life, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between you and your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel."
The Abracast. Occult, history, conspiracy, and violence.
Hey, welcome to Quarantine Zone 3 in the People's Republic of Pennsylvania. I am John Towers, and this is the Abracast. Hope everybody is doing well this evening. So I was going through and I noticed that I never did this part 2 to this spiritual warfare episode. So I thought we could do this. I mean, the last one was in May, right? So yeah, we're going to do this part 2 of our examination of spiritual warfare in the Bible. Our featured book is Spiritual Warfare in the Bible, Advanced Spiritual Warfare Training from a Biblical Evangelical Perspective by a Reverend Dr. Jerry Shmoyer. So I like this material, and we're wrapping up our Genesis series. We're getting to the end here, so this stuff is all cool because it's kind of like a recap. It's kind of like a recap of our Genesis stuff as we're winding it down. So if you guys have, I have my new vessel of the art. I finally took the time to put it together. So if you guys are generous enough to have a vessel of the art, whatever you're drinking it in this whatever you're drinking in it this evening, whatever your weapon of mass distraction is, go ahead and raise it up to the sky and thank the people that are generous enough to have official Abracast vessel of the art. Here's to you guys. Without your help, our podcast here wouldn't be around. So thank you. And if you don't have a vessel of the art, the official Abracast vessel of the art, please consider becoming a Patreon or Subscribestar supporter and score you one. Gin and water, yeah. This episode is brought to you also by Pastor Larry Solomon's Institute for Spiritual Warfare. And check out the t-shirt and other stuff shop on the website. You can find your Pastor Larry Solomon's Institute for Spiritual Warfare t-shirts. They're pretty cool. They're fun. You ever wonder what Pastor Larry looks like? There's a good artistic representation of him on the shirts. So in the cold open, we kind of did a little recap on this Genesis 3, 8 through 15, which is when the battle begins, according to Dr. Shmoyer here. The shot heard around the world, or the shot heard around creation. So we know that this spiritual warfare reverberates and echoes out through everything. The Christian view of it is, this is why the world is fucked up, because this happens. This is the thing that broke this is why we can't have nice things. This is why this is what broke the universe. So we know it literally touches everything. So right after Adam and Eve, we see that in this story of Cain and Abel, which is Genesis 4, 1 through 8. Adam to Abraham. Once begun, the battle continued through Adam's lifetime, and through each of his descendants, it has sometimes seemed to change as strategy and focus of the enemy shifted, but the battle was always on in one form or another. So the story of Cain and Abel, all of this stuff, if you go to the feature topic links, you can see the Genesis section. Also, there's an awful lot of the Adam and Eve stuff or talks about masonry, if you want to check that out there too. Cain and Abel is kind of my jam. A few years ago, I wrote a giant graphic novel called The Ages. It starts here with this story of Cain and Abel. And it is kind of my jam. Oh, by the way, I was pleasantly surprised by a pretty generous royalty check from Burning Bulb, who was the publisher of that specific book. So if any of you out there are proud owners, if you bought The Ages in Q1 of 2020. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So Cain and Abel, Genesis 4, 1 through 8. Adam, oh boy, Adam made love to his wife, Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. And she said, with the help of the Lord, I have brought forth a man. And later she gave birth to his brother, Abel. Now, Abel kept flocks and Cain worked the soil. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. And Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flock. And the Lord looked with favor on Abel in his offering, but on Cain and his offering he did not look with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, you will not be accepted. But if you do if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." Now, Cain said to his brother Abel, "Let's go out to the field." And while they were out in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. So there's a lot to unpack in this story, and I've put a lot of thought into it. And this is one of the things that, I've mentioned over and over again growing up in the Southern Baptist Church, Vacation Bible School, Bible study, all of that business. I always could never wrap my head around why God liked one offering, but he didn't like the other one. Thinking about it for as long as I did, I kind of got some ideas. I don't know if they're worth kind of retelling them here, since they're not, really. It might give us another perspective though before I get into this other part. So here's my take on it, bros. My take on it is, so God created a garden, right? So he's a gardener. He's a farmer. And this is something that happens to Noah after the flood. Part of the Noahic covenant takes place on Noah's vineyard, because after the flood, Noah also becomes a gardener. So here in this story, it kind of is like the wrong son, wrong blessing bit, right? Where Cain, who's the firstborn, becomes a gardener. He's working the soil. So what he does is he takes seeds and stuff and he cultivates them. It's not like Bloomberg says, where you just go and you throw a seed in the dirt and you pour water over it, and that's all you got to do if you're a gardener. Or if you're a farmer, it's not like that at all. Like, you have to know all kinds of stuff, and it's hard work digging holes and working on the crops and harvesting the yields and all of this stuff. It's a work. This is why I posit that Freemasons side with Cain also, right? Because they are craftsmen. They're workers. So, here God is kind of takes this demiurge kind of, or shitty kind of, take on it. Because Abel just takes care of animals. He's just a shepherd. He doesn't create anything. The animals create themselves. He kind of just steers them around to where the food is, right? So the kind of the thing that I unpack from Cain and Abel is that Cain is creating stuff, and this goes to Tubal Cain, which is a Freemason thing. And he was the first craftsman, and he's got brothers and sisters in his generation that create music and create art and all of this artisan kind of stuff, where this priestly line, which we would call it, in Abel, is just this shepherd. He's not creating anything. So God, the way that I think about it is, God is pissy at Cain because Cain he's creating stuff. Maybe God's like, no, that's my thing. Like, get your bullshit out of here. As to this murder bit, psychology. I get, I'm not going to speak too much to that, because to me, this enigma of God kind of pissing on Cain's offering is a much more enigmatic kind of story. If you have thoughts on this, let me know what you think. And maybe what I'll do is, a while ago, I did a graphic. I did an infographic for the newsletter, talking about the kingly and priestly lines. So would be the idea. The kingly and priestly lines, or in Masonry, they might call them the sons of water and the sons of fire, and how throughout parts of the Old Testament, there was an effort made to unite these sons of water and sons of fire, to unite these kingly and priestly lines. This is, ultimately starts with, what does it start with? I don't have the graphic in front of me, but I'll go ahead and I'll put that in the newsletter section up top. So if you sign up for the newsletter or go to the link provided, it takes you to a secret part of the website. I'll put that up there soon. I'll put that up there this week sometime, and I'll drop it in the newsletter, this coming newsletter, if you want to just get a refresher on it. It's interesting. Like, it starts with, I believe it would, the flood happens, right? So it starts with Melchizedek, who is the priest king of Salem. And then we get into, maybe it could start with Metatron too. Enoch, who gets turned into an angel, this old guy in a divine angelic power armor. But the Temple of Solomon itself is a unification of the kingly and priestly pillar, and then it ends with Jesus, who's the he's a rabbi, king of the Jews. Anyhow, so let's get back into this thing. I'm sorry for babbling about this. I just think about it's kind of my jam. All right, so let's look at it. He's going to break it down, but remember, he's in a much more orthodox kind of view of this stuff. The evangelical or the orthodox version of this is that it was about jealousy. That's not the way that I see it. But soon after leaving Eden, the warfare which had been foretold between God and Satan broke into all-out conflict. The seed of the ultimately victorious Messiah was prophesied to come through the human family. So Satan tried to do everything possible to stop that line from continuing. Satan used invisible, supernatural personalities, demons, as well as human agents to accomplish his mission. Most of the time, as demons motivated and directed the actions of humans they influence. This is the case with Cain, who was incited by Satan to kill his brother Abel. This action is the first sin mentioned in the Bible since the fall of Eden. The word for sin is revealing. Sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must master it, God said to Cain. Sin is personified as a wild beast. Perhaps a serpent, as in Eden, who is waiting to spring upon Cain. The Hebrew word for sin used here is closely connected to the word used for demon. Rebisum, or an Akkadian word. In Mesopotamian beliefs, the Rebisum lurked at the entrance of a building, either to do good and protect the person who do harm and threaten them. Whatever it was that led to Cain's sin, we know Satan was involved. For John 3:12 says Cain belonged to the evil one. Thank you, Pastor Larry Solomon. We don't know if Cain was demonized or satanized before or after the murder of Abel, but we do know he was deeply involved in this event. For more they just go into a little bit of talk about the difference between being demonized and possession here. So we kind of are moving on to our next bit, which is the time of Noah, which you know what this means, everybody. I hope you know what this means. Longtime listeners will know what this means. This means it's all about the Earth Chicks. It's another T-shirt you can find. There's in the T-shirts and stuff store shop on the website. You can get it's all about the Earth Chicks shirt. A listener of the show, and a Patreon supporter actually came up with the idea of it, and I went ahead and busted it out. It's got like a UFO abducting a chick in a nightie and God's hand reaching down and grabbing a chick. It's pretty cool. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, the daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw what the daughters of humans were beautiful. They married any of them they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. And the Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. So the Lord said, I will wipe them from the face of the earth, the human race I have created, and with them the animals and the birds and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. After Abel died, Satan's plan was thwarted by the birth of Seth, but the conflict continued. By the time Noah, 1,700 years later, we see the battle between God and Satan has not only continued, but greatly expanded. It appears that human females, earth chicks, the daughter of men, were mating with demons, the son of God. Admittedly, this is a difficult passage with various interpretations, but no matter what the exact identities of these sons and daughters are, the end result was something so awful that God decided to destroy all of mankind because of it. Many having speculated that demons were mating with human females and a hybrid race was being formed. They were giants, motherfucker. You can't be sure of this, but it certainly is a possible interpretation of Genesis 6. Whatever it was, it does seem certain that what happened between these groups was of a sexual nature, and it was something clearly forbidden. Today, there are some demons who specialize in attacking a person, male or female, in sexual ways. Sometimes they were referred to as the Incubi, those acting like men sexually, or the Succubi, those who act like women sexually. All demons, like angels, are males. I'm not sure about that. But seem to be able to manifest as male or female at times. They try sexually to I believe in my, what do I know? I'm a writer with a podcast, but but it seems to me that they're neither male nor female. But they can appear as either. It's like trying to give a book a gender. You know, like they're not like they're not like personalities or whatever. They're like automatons. So, you know, something clearly went wrong with these ones, you know, but it's like angel doesn't fly in groups around the throne of God singing holy, 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 because it's a personal choice. I mean, that's a shitty way to live a life. What are you doing today, Sam? Oh, you know, I'm late for work. I gotta go fly around the throne and singing holy, holy, holy for the next millennia. But also the answer is there's many different types of angels, you know, which leads to many different types of demons, I suppose. I can't believe Dr. Shmoyer here just assumed the gender. Are you assuming I'm a non-binary, fluid, pansexual? They try to sexually stimulate a human being in order to control and torment the person. There have been many accounts of this through history. What happened in Noah's day created a race who are called the Nephilim. This word means fallen in a plural form, and perhaps refers to some kind of unusual people, perhaps larger than human beings. We know that after the flood, giants, also called Nephilim, were born, but these were 100% human beings who were physically larger than others. You can see these in Numbers 13, 31 through 33, in the story of Goliath and so forth. The grasshopper thing is the one that I like, when they send the Hebrew scouts into Canaan and they come back and they're like, these fucking grasshoppers are huge, and they have giant fruit or something that they found. So whatever it is, it manifests in the whole land. It's not just this one fucking giant or whatever. Anyhow, I wrote extensively about this stuff too. We cannot know for sure what happened, but clearly there is a major battle going on here, and it's multi-dimensional, waged by the flesh and Satan, and demons. This is perhaps the most demonized generation ever, and won't be equaled or surpassed until the tribulation. Only Noah and his wife followed God and raised their sons to do the same, as everyone but Noah and his family were destroyed. Clearly, God judges sin, Satan, and evil. That will be clearly seen in the next time this type of demonic activity is manifested on earth during the tribulation. Here's another great story. I hit all these great, these great stories. Nimrod and Babel, Genesis 11, 1 through 9. Now, maybe I should do this first. Hey, before we take a little break here, I just want to remind everyone, the Pastor Larry Solomon's Institute for Spiritual Warfare shirts are available. I will put the Sons of Water and the Sons of Fire infographic. I'll dust it up, I'll polish it up a little bit, and I'll put it in the newsletter and in the Fulgur Correspondentia, and I'll put it in the Fulgur Correspondentia part of the website that you have access to as soon as you sign into the mailing list. I'll put that up there because it's interesting, and it's going to touch on a few more stuff here that we're going to talk about this evening. The Fellowcraft episode, which is the monthly exclusive episode on Patreon and Subscribestar, for every tier including every tier greater and including the $3 tier, which is the fellowship degree. This month is our fourth and last episode exploring Atlantis. We're going to move into something real fun next month. It's a lot of great stuff. Which also, if I owe you jars, they're going out. I got my fulfillment stuff is sitting right here in the boxes. I'm going to the mail post office within a matter of a day or two. And Vessel of the Art, which is the $10 tier. If I owe you guys out there, if I still owe you phone calls, check your email. The email's out. I have a handful of calls scheduled, but I'm waiting to hear back from a few folks. So if you're waiting, just check your emails, bro. I hope I'm not in your spam folder. God, that suck.
Learn more at abracast.com. Get bonus content by signing up for the mailing list. Get all that plus many exclusive episodes by supporting the show at patreon.com or subscribestar.com.
Hello. My name is Riley Finwood, and this is As Within, So Without, a podcast in which I delve into esoteric belief systems. In this series, we're going to take a look into the spiritual, the occult, the magical, the paranormal, and even the extraterrestrial. A quick peek into episode 1, we're going to deep dive right into the nature of reality itself. From here, we'll build a platform from which we can jump into the fun stuff, like aliens, I want to address how powerful our beliefs are in and of themselves. It may sound obvious, but what we believe determines our identities, our pursuits, our success, our failures, who we surround ourselves with, how we deal with issues, and quite frankly, determines our destinies. As we believe within, so it is without. There's the title already. Most of you who will be listening to this podcast will already have an openness to these topics. However, it's the more logical and grounded of us who I'll be attempting to reach at the start. With the world in chaos at the moment, I think more of us are opening up to things that we would have otherwise thought impossible. And I want you to interact with me. Ask questions, demand answers, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right. I'll invite discussion with love, of course. So, without further ado, let's get weird, let's tell stories, let's pull down the moon.
If you guys are looking for a podcast to get in, like on the ground floor, check out As Within, So Without by Riley. She's only got a few episodes. They're easy to catch up on, and she's great. I mean, I don't know her I've traded a few emails with her or whatever, but yeah, check it out. It's very interesting. So let's get rolling back into this. Nimrod and the Tower of Babel. Genesis 11, 1 through 9. If you're listening to the show longer than 3 minutes, you know that this is also my jam. I got 3 jams in a row right here. Now, the whole world had one language and a common speech. As people moved eastwardly, they found a plain in Shinar, and they settled there. And they said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They used brick instead of stone, and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise, we will be scattered over the face of the whole earth." When the Lord came down to see the city and the tower and the people were building, and the Lord said, "If as one people speaking the same language they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come and let us go down and confuse their language, so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them from there over the earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why it is called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the earth. So this is one of my favorite stories, because after I could just hear everyone being like, "We've heard this shit before." But after the flood and God made the Noahic covenant, he disappears for a long time. It has to be for generations he disappeared. And then when he told them, he was like, multiply and divide. He's giving them math. No, he multiply and scatter. Live long and prosper. Just spread over the earth, he told them. And then he goes away for who knows how many generations. And then he comes back and he was like, "Oh, these motherfuckers did not do what I told them to do. Also, they have multiplied, but they did not spread out." And this line is one of the most craziest lines of the whole Bible, I think. God comes down and he sees them building this tower and he marvels at it. He's basically like, if these motherfuckers can work together, then there's nothing they can't do. And I love that. So, the Tower of Babel, it appears in one of the tarot cards that I designed. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I designed a set of tarot cards, and they're available right now. Because of the pandemic, it's slow to fulfill. I think it's about a month after you order them, I can finally get them out to you. It's no fault of my own. The printer is only allowed to have apparently 2 people in their shop at any given time. So I made the tower card, the Tower of Babel. You can go to the store section of the website and look at the tarot cards. There's a whole little presentation. I did videos about it and everything if you want to check them out. But also, just a month or 2 ago, I did 2 of these fellow craft episodes for free on Patreon and Subscribestar, and they were sermons in quarantine. The first one was an Easter sermon, and the second one was a Pentecost sermon, where I was talking about in the New Testament, God used the Pentecost as a way to kind of reverse this, or it's a different, maybe not reversal, but he used the same spell in reverse to get the apostles to speak different languages to spread the gospel of a Jesus Christ and the master of the ages upon the ages. Can I get an amen? So you might want to check those out if you're digging this Nimrod and the Tower of Babel story. There's ad nauseum. I think Nimrod and Tammuz has their own feature topic link. Like, I've been talking about this shit forever. So those are just a few of my insights. Now let's go back to the book here. After the flood, Noah and his family were told to repopulate the earth. And they moved to various... Oh, also, they were building a tower. They were survivors of a genocide by God. So a lot of the stories about the Tower of Babel in the book of Jasher, I think. Yeah, it is the book of Jasher. They go into detail saying they built this tower so high that they would send archers to the top of it, and they would shoot arrows, and the arrows would come down with the blood of angels on them. And that's fucking some heavy metal stuff. Like, they weren't building it out of pride. They were building it in case God tried to murder everyone again. They were survivors of the great aquatic fucking death genocide. They wanted to make sure that if God came down, that they had some kind of way to sort this shit, or at least attempt to sort this shit out again. Okay, there endeth my babbling. Back to the book. After the flood, Noah and his family were told to repopulate the earth, and they were to move to various geographical areas and reproduce until the earth was once again fully inhabited. But they didn't spread out geographically, did they? Instead, they stayed together so that they could depend on each other, and they wouldn't need God. And the battle between serving God's kingdom and Satan's kingdom continued. So for 400 years after the flood, God, again, has to bring judgment on sinful, disobedient mankind. Nimrod appeared to be the instigating force behind the tower that was built. This is also a story that's heavily featured in the Ages. Not to make this thing a big fucking commercial or whatever, but he is a picture of the Antichrist used by Satan to oppose God. And like the Antichrist, he may have even been indwelt by Satan, for he was a murderous, evil person who elevated himself to a God-man and was worshipped as such. Genesis 10. Statues have been found showing him being worshipped as a baby in his mother's arms. A few minutes ago, I mentioned Nimrod and Tammuz. This is the Tammuz part of it. You know, it's a safe bet. It's a safe bet to think that people that are worshiping the Trinity, it's like 50-50 maybe. I would maybe even do like 60-40. I think it's at least a fair bet that when we're looking at the Trinity, we're actually looking at an expansion or adaptation of Nimrod and Tammuz, and just let that fucking sink in. The one other thing, they were talking about statues being found to Nimrod. Nimrod also had a couple other names. I can't remember which one this is, but there's that, because he's a king, right? He helped write laws. Hold on, where's the 5,000 year leap? Hold on for 1 second. All right, so first of all, thumbing through this book makes me think that everyone on Earth needs to buy this fucking book and read it right now. Right now. Yesterday. If you're an American, you need to read this fucking book tomorrow. It's called the 5,000 year leap. A miracle that changed the world. I thought that I'd be able just to find what I'm looking for real fast, but listen, it doesn't matter because I did a whole podcast on it. Check out I believe it's the American Sermon. Yeah, it doesn't matter because I've done a whole episode on this. If you go to the feature topic link and go to the Freemason section, God, what's it called? It's called The American Sermon, The Shining Tower of Babel on the Hill. So the title is taken from a Ronald Reagan speech where he's talking about how America is the shining city on the hill. So write it down. The American Sermon, The Shining Tower of Babel on the Hill. It talks about America's relationship with Nimrod. It's I believe it's very interesting. I wish I could fucking remember. He's known by a bunch of names. Even they don't talk about World War Zero here, but in the World War Zero and Adam's Magic Underpants, we talk about the different. I think we talk about the different names that he was known as too. I mean, it goes on and on and on. In the episode with Esau, we probably talk about Nimrod. Like it's everywhere. Anyhow, Nimrod later being killed and coming back to life, which is the least of the things that Nimrod did. The foundation of the mystery religions which spread to Europe and continue today in various forms. Nimrod was a counterfeit of Jesus. Nimrod is in the Old Testament. Jesus is in the New Testament. Someone used by Satan to take the glory and attention from God the Son. The tower he built was probably like one of many ziggurats covering the area in ancient Babylon. It was a symbol of religious humanism, idolatry, polytheism, and the defiance of God. It was built with its top unto the heavens. They weren't trying to physically build a structure so high it would touch the heaven, but rather to connect with the heavens through the religion that centered around the tower. Some scholars feel the temple on the top contained a perverted chart of the stars and the beginning of astrology, and was used as an early means of predicting the future. While many details are unclear, we do know that this was definitely part of Satan building his world empire in opposition to God, and it was continuing. It was a continuance of the battle against God and his kingdom. Man and his pride and his self-centeredness used his free will to follow Nimrod and oppose God. The same will happened in the tribulation when the the same will happen in the tribulation when the Antichrist, pictured by Nimrod, leads Babylon, Revelation 17 and 18. Against God's kingdom. Ultimately, that kingdom too will be destroyed and God's kingdom victorious, but not until much warfare has taken place. We'll do one more here. Nimrod, I could talk about Nimrod for days. I could talk about the Tower of Babel for days. I could talk about Cain and Abel for days. I'd like to know what you have to think about that. Also, when you go digging around on the website, you're going to find a reading list. It's not really a reading list because we read so many books here on the show, it's impossible to whittle down or to include everything on the reading list. So even though it's called the reading list, it's actually the indispensable books. It's the books that I will never part from a ways. God damn it. Even though I didn't really use the 5,000 year leap here, as events unfolded, I'm sure it's on the indispensable reading list. I'm positive of it. So we did a whole thing about the book of Job, too. We actually did it early. I did it kind of out of order. I think this might have been the first Bible thing that I did. Anyhow, so back in the day, feature topic link, yada yada, you've heard it all. Job. If you don't know the story of Job, it's a terrifying, belittling, and it should make you feel very nihilistic. Satan had not only attacked God's kingdom in one worldwide scale, but he opposed individuals who were part of that kingdom as well. Job is a prime example of this. He lived around the same time as Abraham, but not much known about where he fits in historically or geographically. He is a picture of a righteous man, following God, facing his own warfare because he is faithful to God. One of the ways Satan attacks God's kingdom and its people is by bringing accusations of sin against believers. We see this in Zechariah 3, Revelations 12. Because God is holy and must judge sin, Satan tries to point out the sins of believers in order to bring God's wrath upon them. However, we are safe from condemnation because Jesus paid the price for our sins on that cross at Golgotha, at the hill of Calvary. Still, Satan is forever tattling on us to God. We don't know how Satan is allowed in God's presence, but in some way or form this must happen, for he accuses Job to God. And God allows Satan to attack Job, but with certain limits in which God imposes. So, new shit has come to light, man. So this Job thing is very interesting. Like I said, we did we did some work on Job, and if you're interested in this, it's a weird place to find it. It's a very strange place to find it. But if you go back to the feature topic link, in the mythology, ancient/modern section, I believe it's towards the bottom, we did a two-part Moby Dick. We did a two-part Moby Dick episode way back, long time ago. And Moby Dick Part 1, the first American Kaiju, is worth listening to. But if you're interested in the Job stuff, Moby Dick Part 2, the last part of Moby Dick, actually, it starts at like a Jonah mythology, and then it actually winds up turning into a Job kind of reference. And I pick a lot of that stuff out. So in Moby Dick Part 2, I Alone Have Survived to Tell Thee is out there. And it's a great, those two episodes were great. They get into some Job stuff. And then, of course, in the occult section, the occult feature topic link, there will be an episode called The Book of Job, God versus the Leviathan. And that gets all into Job. And also, I mean, this is another thing that I depict in the ages. God, I feel like I just hoard myself out this whole episode. But I mean, that's what you do when you're trying to recap stuff, right? You wind up, I mean, I'm just trying to provide information. And a lot of this stuff is stuff that we've talked about at length. So instead of trying to fit it all into this recap episode. I just want to point it out where you can find more detailed information about it. So if I got too hoary, I apologize, but that's my humble explanation to you. I am John Towers, and this is the end of the episode. What? Yeah, this is the end of the episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please consider joining the newsletter if you're not already on there for that Sons of Water, Sons of Fire graphic. Because if you're interested in that aspect of what we talked about tonight, I think it's cool. I think it's probably one of the best. It's tremendous. It's one of the best infographics I ever did. What am I doing this evening? So, all right, the episode's over. So if you listen to this, it's on you, okay? It's on you, okay? But my show observer asked me. It's an interesting story. So, it's not an interesting story. I'm going to bootleg a restaurant recipe this evening because I went home for 4th of July and I didn't get a Mr. Hero Roman burger. And it's been plaguing me all fucking... When I was out of town last weekend, I went home for the 4th of July because, I mean, who doesn't want to celebrate 4th of July with a bunch of rabid Marxists, which is my family? You can't sit around chanting USA, USA, drinking, whiskey with a bunch of communists. Who can you do it with? So that's how I chose to celebrate my 4th of July. But once I got into town and then once I left town, I didn't get a chance to hit up Mr. Heroes. And I don't know how localized Mr. Hero is, but we do not have them in Pittsburgh. So I've been obsessing about Mr. Hero. There's not one within at least 200 miles of me, so I can't DoorDash it or whatever. So I went out and I got all the ingredients. I'm going to fucking attempt to create a Roman burger. I even got waffle fries. If you guys are listening to me, I don't know. I have the same fixation with In-N-Out Burger, but there's just no way to fake that. But I'm going to fake a Roman burger this evening. Maybe I'll put something on my Instagram to show it. My wife is from Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area. So I'm trying to explain to her what a Roman burger. Okay, so maybe I need to do that. It's like a sub, right? But it's got these 2 hamburger patties. Well, okay, so it's a sub with both sides of the sub bread is buttered and has Italian dressing and mayo. And then on the bottom, they have lettuce, onion, and tomatoes. And then they have these 2 little burgers on top of them. And on top of the burgers is melted provolone cheese. And then on top of the cheese is fried up salamis. And then on the top bun is the same thing. It's mayo, it's buttered, the bread is buttered, then mayo, and then Italian dressing as you smash it together. And I mean, it's delightful. I haven't had one in probably 20 fucking years. I can't. Well, no, I do remember having a hankering, going to get one when I was home one time. But something happened. I don't know if it was some kind of, if I saw an ad or heard an ad on my way into town. I don't know what the fuck it was. But I've been obsessing about a Mr. Hero Roman burger for a week. Almost a week now. Probably, yeah. More than a week. Probably a few hours more than a week, exactly. So that's what my night is. It's an R&D night. I'm researching and developing. I'm going to do a bootleg Mr. Hero Roman burger. So wish me luck. I don't know why you asked me that. I don't know what I'm telling you about it for. I'm John. This is the Abercast. I'm sorry if this was too self-promoty. I think I explained it pretty good. All right. See you in a few days.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Send an email or visit us on social media to let us know what you think about this topic. And please remember to leave a 5-star rate and review.
Hey, did you learn something? Did you laugh? Supporting me is a way for you to be a part of the Abercast and ensure its growth and sustainability. It also means I can create a normal schedule for shows and bonus shows, as well as the exclusive Fellowcraft episodes. By supporting the show, you are not only a listener, but you are a part of the show. You supporting the show gives me a way to offer fun rewards as a thank you for showing your appreciation and support for our projects. Do you have an idea for a reward that you don't see? Let me know. My supporters are my partners. I currently pay for you to listen to the Abercast. Not only do I pay the hosting bills out of my own pocket, I volunteer my time and talent to each and every episode of the Abercast. The price of books, the time and resources of reading and researching, the massive amounts of gin and tonic needed, the equipment it takes to record the shows, the time and resources it takes to create the bonus material, and the cost to maintain the internet presence. Is it worth your support? I don't know. I'm proud of the Abercast, and I feel like I'm improving all the time. In addition to creating the show that you dig and that you are excited about, I also have a full-time commitment and other obligations. So why financial support? All of the supporters help me focus my time on the quality and development of the podcast. And what if you can't afford, $1 or $3 or $10 or whatever a month? Believe me, I get that. There are many degrees of support, but if you can't support the show financially, please consider leaving a 5-star rate and review on your preferred podcast app. And don't forget that you can sign into the mailing list and still unlock a lot of bonus content. Thank you. I cannot put into words how much it means to me that you listen to the show each time I post a new episode. Your feedback, support, and love of the stories that we talk about here is what keeps me going. I can't get this sandwich out of my mind. Fucking Roman burger, dude. Google it. Let me know what you think. Towers, over and out.